Hello, everybody, and welcome to another episode of N of Twins. Today, we're going to talk about how to keep or stay motivated after failing for 7 years straight. This is not the story of somebody else. No, this is the story of us. So stay buckled up.
So actually, it started all with 2017. We were fucking wanted to have an idea. We had an idea actually. We wanted to get it done. It was a social media app for gamers because fuck yeah, we gamers. We love playing video games.
And of course, a social media idea, a social media platform, like any tart idea that
There's a
that's
tar
out there.
pit. It's just a tar
Yeah.
pit. Yeah. Anyways, so the first challenge that we encountered that Lucas and I are not technical. At this point, we're not technical. So we're like, okay, fuck, we need to find a co-founder, a CTO.
Oh,
So what
man.
did we do? Lucas reached out to his network, actually. Lucas, tell a story.
Well, I mean, network, this always sounds like so fancy, but when you're after university or doing university, it's like, all right, I have some friends and you just talk a lot about you want to start a company. I got lucky or kind of lucky. Talked to somebody in a house party. She was an accelerator building a startup. She's like, oh, yeah, let me introduce you to one person. She introduced me to the person. I talked with him. We were supposed to meet, and this guy didn't even show up. I was already through the entire city, ready, excited to pitch, super excited just to hear like, oh, I'm sorry, I can't make it today. Weeks pass, and I see the girl again, and she's like, oh yeah, let me introduce you to the other co-founder, because they were a team actually. And then he introduced me to the other co-founder, who then turned to be our CTO, Sergio. So I was like, all right, go to the meeting, and yeah, we hit it off, and then we start playing together because you learn like, hey, you shouldn't start directly a company with somebody. You should first get to know the person. So what we did is just like listen to what we learned from the podcast. Obviously, we played video games, and then he was still not ready. But then a few months later, we started Gazoom. So actually, and yeah, that was the first problem. This is how we back in the day solved it. But now, because that was pure luck founding a CTO. How would have done it differently, or how we did it actually a few months, well, two
All right.
years later?
So now it's the year 2023, I think. So our co-founder, other co-founder had his burnout. So we had to look for
Yeah.
another CTO because again, we're not technical and we're running a tech business. So we actually this time Lucas went on to Y Combinator co-founder matches, and he looked there for co-founders. Where we actually got lucky and we found another possible co-founder. And this is actually making it so much better because look now with online, then I would still do the same process, but you can also have a pre-filter, right? You can see, okay, these are good, these are the backstories. You can maybe see their LinkedIn and stuff. Because a friend of a friend, yeah, it's cool. I guess a friend of a friend is cool if you go dating as well, because then you have a pre-filter in the terms of they're nice people, but that doesn't necessarily mean that they know that they're skilled, right? Because your friends, not all your friends are tech people usually, right? In our case,
Normally not. But
yes.
there's also in general, if you interview more people, you know what you like and what you don't like. So I guess it's similar to dating. If you go on multiple dates or many dates, you can get a feeling to whether that person will fit or not, at least on a personal level. Of course, you don't know after a few years, especially when it's money on the line, that people can change, of course. But at least like, is there a fit in general? So there's like one of the things how we did it differently later. And also one of the reasons like at the beginning, like, man, that was a big problem. Like finding co-founder. Anyways, Mark, what is the next problem?
This actually leads to another question, or actually another problem, I think. Because why did we look for a co-founder? Because we were not technical. And why were we not technical? Because we always thought, hey, it's too late to learn this.
Oh man.
And I think this is something that was a key learning for us, and I think that's in general for everyone. Nowadays, if you want to build an app, a website, anything with tech, you can do with AI, or you can learn it really, really rapidly. Because now, let's say the learn cycles are much faster in terms of you get instant feedback. For example, I learned to code with no code tools, and now also with AI tools. And the cool thing about this is that you can do the debugging directly, and you get feedback where the issue is, and then you can change it. And also, there's so many more tutorials nowadays. So you're gonna learn much, much faster. So if I could give advice to my older self or younger self, would be like, look, you can learn this. Just fucking go for it. There are online YouTube videos. Just do it and then go from there. Because it's never too late to learn a language or to learn something that you find is cool.
Yeah. So until now, it sounds like, all right, things are moving forward, right? Because like, all right, we found a co-founder, we started with the product, but now because we're saying we've been failing for 7 years straight. Now, one of the next challenge that we had were basically, well, Sergio was developing the product. Well, Mark and I were like, all right, we're going to focus on finding investors, right? Because that's like the first thing you do because you need money to develop. That's like, back in the day, that was our mindset. Might have
Well,
not been the
no, I
best
want to
one.
defend ourselves in the back in the day because also we thought about the winner take all market, right? It's like there's clear distinction between gaming content versus a real other content, especially on social media. I mean, it's getting the lines are much more blurred now. That you see a lot of gaming content on Instagram, all that stuff. Back then in 2018, it wasn't. So we're like, look, maybe people are ashamed to posting that stuff online, and that's
Yeah.
why, or there's like a stigma to it.
But still, I mean, we were so focused on accelerators. We applied, I think, for, I don't know, 50, 60 accelerators or more. Always got no's. That was, I think, our first round of Y Combinator as well. And that's like in 2018, right? So 2018 for the spring was the first time we applied for Y Combinator. Got a no in. And then Startup Bootcamp, Techstars, we applied to all of them because we were like, all right, we need some money to get started. Now, if I look back, that was a big mistake because in the end, you should have just focused on getting the product out there and get people to use the product because otherwise, um, VCs will not invest in you. I I believe, to be honest, once you have a product that sells, they wanna give you the money because 'cause they're like, "Oh, shit, that you don't even need them." Of course, it depends also on the product because some products need investments, but for us, if I could give feedback to my younger self, I'd be like, "Hey, just focus on building a product as well as getting it to the market, and then the rest will come," instead of desperately for months applying to accelerators to not even well, we later got into one, but that's a year later, year and a half later down the journey.
So I think additionally, I think it's the go to market is what you mentioned is really, really important. Especially nowadays, I think, okay, back in the day, you could have run Facebook ads, Instagram ads really cheap. But if you don't have any money to spend, it was really, really hard. So one of the things back in the day directly start probably with SEO. Because even if you don't know 100% what your final product will be, at least in that category, you know what category you're gaming, right? So any kind of gaming content, you can just write SEO articles for, and then rank your website up higher later on. And then you can also go social media. So these are the things that we didn't do, or we did do a little bit. I remember I had some really weird posts on Instagram, like astronauts and all this stuff. But end of the day, be more focused on that marketing, like building and getting people to use it. I mean, I remember. I don't know if I forgot about you. Forgot about this. We texting people. We did the Gary V thing back in the day, like
Oh, in the comment
2018.
section, "Hey, try
Yeah,
out
exactly. Hey, I love
Gazoom."
what you're doing.
Yeah.
Exactly. In the comment section,
Oh.
and we got people to try it. I mean, this was the thing. I think we did that was cool, and we did
A
that right.
mobile
I
app,
think
right? But
like
that was at the beginning where we literally just had, like, a mobile app, our first
yeah, we just
version,
had a mobile
and
app, but
then,
mobile app
yeah,
was just
people could
shit.
use it. Yeah,
But this is the
it was
thing.
pretty shit, the first
I
version.
think we had a nice guerrilla tactics, but back then it was just like, look, our app was still shit in terms of it was super buggy. Most of things didn't work. Nowadays, this kind of technology to build is so much easier. Back then, it was really, really hard, much harder than it is now.
For sure. All right, Mark. Now let's stay on track because we're saying, hey, how to stay motivated after failing for so long, right? Because like there's a good quote from Sam Altman. He's like, as long as there's momentum, there cannot be burnout, right? Because as long as you move forward, it feels like everything is flowing. You're not frustrated because like you're moving towards your goal, which is like really, really important. But we had so many moments that wasn't the case. So, for example, one of these cases were when we applied to so many accelerators didn't get any yes till we finally get to the startup bootcamp in 2019, and we applied there, went to the interviews, and then got in. I mean, that was
I mean, even then, the thing is this: we always take in a lot of micro wins. For us, a micro win is like getting to the interview stage, right? Having an interview, then maybe get to the second interview. Like these kind of things are we took as micro wins, and thereby we kept staying motivated because we saw progress. Because we saw we're going from one, not to two, but to 1.2, 1.4, 1.6, 1.8, 1.9, 1.992. So these are the things that kept us motivated. Especially we kept on learning. Lucas and I, we love fucking learning. So it's one of these things that while we were not succeeding in the business, we kept learning and improving and improving and improving.
There's also like brings me to another point because like people are now wondering how without raising funds, how did you were you able to sustain yourself, right? Because Mark and I invested in crypto 2017. And then well, it went up, but then of course we had to sell during while it's going into the dip because we had to
It was
survive
not a
because we
dip,
really
it was a crypto winter.
okay, it was like fucking Siberian winter right there. But we were decided, hey, we'd rather invest in ourselves. To be honest, no regrets. And then had to sell a lot of our crypto, almost all of our crypto, but just to keep pushing. But that's also one of the things that I think, for me personally, I believe we did very, very well. Is like keeping the monitor like basically the pressure of like not having money to survive from our co-founder CTO because he had a monthly income. So we were just like, hey, don't worry, we'll figure it out for Mark and I, so we can keep pushing forward full time on it. I think that was really, really important, and I would have done the same right now. So I think this is like memo to myself, good job. But yeah, that's also one of the things that people have, right? If you don't have the time to push forward, it's exactly, but money, that's hard. Makes it definitely much harder.
So
Or
I think also, I mean, look, it is a 7-year journey and we're continuing making improvements also in terms of look, at some point we got on the accelerator. Lucas already mentioned that we got funding then, right? And
well,
then
I mean,
then
funding, and we have to be honest here, like, that was, like, 12.5K, and we
no,
invested,
no, no, no,
like
I'm not talking about the accelerator. I'm talking about look, we went to the accelerator afterwards we got actual investors.
oh, yeah,
I'm
but
talking about not the accelerator.
wait. We now have to talk about the time difference, right? So we went to an accelerator, finished in December 2019, and we got our funding in April 2021. So almost a year and a half of just like trying to survive during COVID. Luckily, the German government gave us, because we had a German company, like a 10K to survive, as well as we did some other stuff. Also, by the way, Mark and I did Airbnb, shared a room for a year and a half. To survive, right?
But
Because there's extra things that is because this is like also staying motivated, right? I think it's really important for especially for this podcast because if we're talking about how stay motivated while basically failing because like we didn't know how to pay our next month rent, and then we found something that kept us surviving, like maybe the German government paying us 10K or
not only
9K.
that, look, but end of the day, what kept us going was that we were building a new product, right? We finally had a product where we're actually monetizing on. We were at that point we were working with Overwolf together, and we had Gazoom, our automatically like our recording tool, which we then launched. And then we had a little progress, where we unlocked milestones, and which was like, look, again, it comes down to is there movement going on? Is the momentum going on? And this kept us going. So the advice is have momentum. Whatever you're doing, have momentum. And then take the small wins. Because even on the long term perspective, you might be losing and you will eat a lot of shit as an entrepreneur. But as long as the momentum is going, you don't feel necessarily all the time like you're losing, but you're winning in the long term, right? Because the momentum is going in your favor.
I mean, this is also one of the things is like you have to sometimes zoom in to see these small wins, right? Because for example, Mark and I are now in our eighth year of entrepreneurship, and we no, we have not have any monetary success yet, but we're still super motivated because I think it's just like sometimes you have to zoom in to like really see the small wins. For example, back in the day, yes, it was the milestones. Even though the company was not profitable, we didn't have funding yet, we're like, all right, we got little money from that loan that we got. All right, this. So you zoom in and you celebrate these things. These are so important because it pushes you forward. Because like if you zoom out, and you say, "Oh, I'm not a millionaire yet." That is like you don't have momentum. You zoom in, you're like literally just like zoom in, and then you see these small little bumps. And I think this is so important to stay more motivated. And I think too little people do that. I mean, for example, the good thing, Mark and I always have each other, which makes it so much better because we can celebrate it, right? Even just
Hell
like,
yeah.
all right, let's go, fist bump, let's go, we can do this, right? This makes a huge difference, at least for me, for myself. And that's also, I think, if I would tell myself back in the day, I was like, hey, it doesn't matter what you do, keep working with Mark because I think is like the most important part or most like most pleasing and satisfying thing to do, and the success will come. I mean, hey, we're recording this right now in April 2025. It's not there yet, but I feel like we're getting there. But it's also like skills, right? In general, because that's why I also like recording this now, because people always like, oh yeah, I can't relate to the person because he's already a multimillionaire, and then you can I cannot relate to now. He's just like can talk from that point of view, but I'd rather talk from the perspective, even after failing for so many years, to still stay motivated and being able to share this. Right? I think that's for me really, really important.
No, I agree. I mean, look, and look, we already talked about the accelerator, and I think then we had. I mean, I don't want to make this a story about us because
All
this
right.
is a different
I have
conversation.
an idea, Mike. I
But
have an idea. I have an idea.
okay,
So I just want to give a quick summary. So, for example, like, okay, we had 2021 funding, then we built this out, weren't able to grow fast enough, had multiple pivots because we were like, all right, how about we going into in crypto,
NFT
built it
marketplace,
exactly NFT aggregator, then we built a
emergent
emergent,
pay,
yeah,
emerge as
emergent,
an NFT merch.
exact NFT merch. Then we built a CS and Valorant strats tool. And then we had to close Gazoom
Eventually,
because we were like we lost our CTO, burnout, like our other one. Long story. In the end, we had to close it. So that's and then we started a new journey. Mark and I just our solo, like well, do entrepreneurs. Let's put it this way. When Mark started learning coding, that was in last year in January 2024. So I think like this is like the short, like basically summarizing it. Of course, there a lot of things happened, but we're still very motivated because we started seeing looking backward. Look up what we've learned so far. I think that's really important as an advice to myself. They don't compare yourself too much with other peers that you see in the media. First of all, you only see the glory side. So yes, they raised millions of dollars, or yes, they are multimillionaires. But in the end, everybody's on their own path. It's good if you work in, for example, an accelerator, which I really liked because you see everybody's pushing towards their dream, which for me very, very nice. But don't compare yourself. Oh my God, this guy is already, I don't know, he's 20 and he made $1 million applications. What I was doing with 20. No, no, no. Just focus on yourself and just like stop celebrating or start celebrating the small wins.
I agree. I think this is the same piece of advice for me. I mean, this is also that something that resilience is super important. I think it's everyone talks about it, and I think you can also train this resilience with small things in lives, right? Anything that you're down, you're like, okay, but I learned something. What did I learn from this? As long as you keep it as a learning experience, you'll go forward. And I think this will also keep you down to earth in that sense of like, hey, look, even the big wins are not the ones that count really. The small wins. You take the small wins every single day and you're like, look, I'm grateful for these wins and that I'm learning and that you have someone that you really truly enjoy working with.
I
Because that
mean,
makes it so much easier. We have a friend, he's also a great entrepreneur, and he's been doing it alone, and it just sucks to do it alone. Like unless it's directly, oof, man, especially businesses that are tech related and really complicated, these can be a tough one to for the people.
in general, if you don't have somebody to talk to, because normally your spouse or friends who are not entrepreneurs, it's hard to relate to because they're used to a paycheck every month, right? So they don't know how it feels like, or also having, for example, having other because we had employees, right? So you're also they're relying on you, the pressure how it puts on you that you know you only have 2 or 3 months of payroll left. So how you gonna break the news? Or I mean, we're always transparent and like make sure that they find a new job, being able to maintain them. So these are things that's why I believe it's really important to have a circle of other entrepreneurs or like-minded people so you can share this if you don't have a co-founder, right? So I think this is one of the things I believe, like looking backward, I'm like, hey, I'm happy. I would not be able to do it myself because it's literally just like entrepreneurship. You're just eating glass and it's like swallowing your own blood and you just like have to enjoy this journey. But it's also very nice because, well, for example, for me personally, I like that you don't know how much money you're gonna make, right? Because that's not one of the things when you're in a job and like, okay, this year gonna make X amount, and then the year after X amount. For me, this is boring. I'd rather have like I can hit a home run if I work for it, and it's all on me, and I'm not like a small part, like a part in a big machine.
Small
So it's
cog in a big
yeah,
machine.
exactly. It's just not my thing, not my style. So I'd rather do that. But yeah, I have another
Or
point.
because
Another
okay, go
point
ahead.
before we can wrap it up. So important to see your skills that they actually will add up. Like, because some people are like, oh, I don't know. I don't know. I just don't know this. Just start learning it. First
What do
of
you mean
all,
by add up, Lucas?
all right.
You
So,
mean
okay, basically,
a
you know,
stack?
marketing. Okay, they stack. So you have marketing. So you learn first Facebook ads, then you learn TikTok ads. Then Reddit is pretty similar. So you can like add them. Okay. For example, me right now learning more about UGC content and TikTok farms, etc., how they work, etc. So these are things that you can learn, and then later this will give you, first of all, it gives you more strategic options. So you can say, okay, I could potentially do this, do that, and as well unlock more, well, yeah, abilities. So I think that's really, really important because like it's never too late to learn with languages or with skills. Also,
100%
advice to
agree.
myself, to my younger self, because I was like, oh, it's too late to learn Spanish. Hell no. I'm speaking more or less Spanish. And yeah, same with like any learning, like coding. Mark's been learning it. He was 31 when he started learning. So yeah, it's never too late. Actually, one of our
Yeah.
best friends, Victor, as well, he started learning with 30.
30, yeah.
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 So yeah, it's never too late. And he was before a factory worker. He was actually one of our best employees, if not the best. So yeah, it's he's just like it's crazy. Like if
Definitely
there's
the
if
best, not
definitely
only.
best.
Not
No,
if.
he's
He
definitely
was
the best.
definitely the best.
Victor, oh man. So yeah, it's just it's all about the will. So yeah, I think that's that the episode is more. If you guys can relate to it, please let us know in the comments and share it with other founders. And yeah, this is also a little note for our journey. So yeah, we'll guys keep you posted. Mark, any last comments?
Nope. I think be resilient, go with the momentum, enjoy the ride. I mean, it's not the happiness, it's
Celebrate
not
the
the pursuit
small
of
things.
happiness, it's the happiness of the
Exactly.
pursuit. That's what it
Ooh,
is.
that was a good one. All right, enjoy the small ones, and of course, that's why I keep pushing. And of course, catch you next one. Peace.
Peace.